Hello. If you can hear me,
Yes,
Yes,
all
yes, we
right.
can hear
yes,
you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kingsley. Thank you. And the rest of us can please just react with our favorite emoji so I can just know that I'm audible. All right. Olateju, thank you. All right. So let's ride on. I think others will join us along the line. So I want to welcome every one of us. Right. I believe you all had a great day and happy new year to everyone. Let's just unmute and say and wish ourselves happy new year. I think this is the first meeting we are having for this year. Yeah. So
Happy
happy
New
new
Year,
year from
everyone.
here. I hope this year will be a great year for all of us, and I also hope that we are going to achieve so much together, right? And that is the reason why we put this topic together, that is upskilling our career in 2025. So we are going to be looking at things that we need to do, the things that we need to drop, the things that we need to do in order to move forward. Because truth being told, a lot of things are changing, and we cannot just stick to the way we used to do things before. So we need to begin to look at, okay, what are the new ways we need to do things in getting job, in getting, in fact, if you are either on you are trying to get job through LinkedIn or through freelancing or probably get job through any other means, we need to begin to look at what is the best way, what is the right way to do all the things, do things the right way. And that is the reason why we put this topic together so that we can address them. So we have two speakers for us this evening. The first person is Mr. Kingsley Udoma, right? And we have Mr. Lamide to be the second speaker. So how we are going to do it is each of them, we'll be giving each of them like 10 minutes. Okay, let me just say for about 10 to 15 minutes, to just address us, because I know they have a lot of things for us. So let's just say 10 minutes to address us. And then we can now begin to prepare our question, because I know all of us have questions, right? All of us have questions. So, and after then, I have questions from my end that I'm going to be asking, right? So that's how we are going to do this. So, all right. So, the first person I will begin is Mr. Kingsley. Mr. Kingsley is a senior software engineer with a demonstrated history of working in an information technology and financial services industry. So, skilled in software development and system architecture and tech project life cycle management. So, please, Mr. Kingsley, you can just unmute yourself, and each one of us, you can just react with a favorite or maybe to welcome Mr. Kingsley, so that he can just dish out what he has for us. So, Mr. Kingsley, you have the mic. You can have the mic 10 to 15 minutes. So, thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, guys. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know, thank you for the react. It's a privilege to be with you guys tonight, and it's a privilege having you guys on board. Trust we all have a resourceful weekend. You know, so welcome. Sorry, Mr. Olamide here. So my name is Kingsley, and I'm a senior software engineer. I basically work in the fintech sector, tech sector, and other sectors as well. So um, before before we go further, I believe every one of us here is an engineer or a designer or PM, or I believe every one of us is one of these. So, and the theme for the events that we have today is upskilling, right? It's upskilling our skills in 2025. And sorry, please, am I audible? I should raise myself.
Yes, you are audible, Mr. Kingsley. You can write on, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, like I said, the thing we have it's all about upskilling in the year 2025, Right. Now let's go back to 2023 and 4, whereby we had the age of GPTs, we had the age of um, LLM software and the likes, where machines are able to, help us, machines are able to, do a lot of things for us, computations, insights, in fact, even codes. So, that's actually creates a question in our mind that are we still valuable in our field? Are we still valuable in our line? So, it's really disturbing. And in every year, in every 10 years, in every 5 years, we have new developers, we have new engineers, we have new people coming into the tech space, coming to the ecosystem to do one or two. Yeah. So, and apologies for that. Sorry, I was at an event throughout today as well. So it's really challenging when new developers, new engineers now come into the ecosystem, and then they find out that it is saturated, or they can't get a job, they can't get even an internship, a paid internship. It's quite challenging at times because it drops your zeal, because you feel, oh, am I not worthy? Am I not good enough? Am I not learning the right tool? Am I not learning the right programming language? Am I not using the right tool? Am I not speaking to the right people? So it's created that question in our mind, and it's kind of confusing at times. Most especially if you're born vital to learn, to skill up. So it looks confusing, and at times there are some of us who are engineers that work very hard, but still find it hard to secure a job, but still find it hard to secure a gig, but still find it hard to build quality softwares. So it's a very, very disturbing issue to individuals, and most especially this age where we have a lot of GPTs doing a lot of things. For example, right, the big guy in AI now is DeepSeek currently, because DeepSeek does a lot of crazy things, and these guys to ChatGPTs doing a lot of crazy things as well. We have a lot of other AI agents that does a lot of things. Designer does a lot of things. Content creators does a lot of things that we even engineers do. We have AIs that can create designs. We have AI that can create logos. We have AIs that can modify an image. We have AI that can do a lot of things. For example, if you visit FreePic as of today, FreePic now has an AI that can help you personalize an image into your own form, into your own taste. Now imagine if you're paying someone to do that for you. At least it will take hours for the person to get it delivered, and at times the person might not even deliver what you want. It can happen like that as well. Unlike you having a GPT that can do all those things for you, that can help you, create those things in few minutes or in few seconds at times. So that creates a sense of urgency for you to upskill, for you to level up your game. Of course, there's always a talk in which people say, "Oh, AI will replace you." AI will replace you. No, AI will not replace you, but people using AI will be the ones to replace you. So let's cite a scene now, whereby myself as an engineer and Mr. Harry as an engineer as well. Um, he he's kind of engineer that likes upgrading himself, developing himself, in the sense that to the point that he started building AI systems. He started integrating AI systems into his code base. He started building applications that uses language models. He started using applications that trains models that gives this AI feeling that that make crazy things. Meanwhile, myself, I'm still trying to write functions, trying to call functions, trying to do a lot of things, trying to build the usual boring stuffs. He would get job opportunities faster because he has upgraded himself to integrate these things for himself. He has created that value because, of course, every recruiter now wants to hear, oh, you do this, you do this AI, you can integrate that AI, you can integrate that, you can integrate this. But they will not want to listen to you if you're just a boring developer that just build apps, that just build websites, that just does this or that, because they will tell you, oh, I have an AI agent that can do all these things in few minutes, in few seconds. That is the job market currently. But still yet, you cannot limit yourself into smaller things. Now, let's look at you being a front end engineer, you being a back end engineer now. The future of every front end engineer is to build responsive, beautiful, eye catchy web pages with interactive elements on the screen, right? That things that really, 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 really brings money to your table. It changes your perspective about development because by the time you start building things like that, you're not just a boring engineer again, and you can ace your interviews. Of course, you would have known things that has to do with data structure and algorithms. You get, so it's just all about you changing your game and you being consistent in whatsoever you do. If you are a mobile app developer now, right, you just build your connect APIs, but at the same time, you still have to level up your game, bring in some, some automations to your system to make life easy, to make things faster for your end users. You get, so you can even leverage on already existing models. ChatGPT has open source APIs. DeepSeek has open source APIs that you can use to test run. Even Gemini has open source APIs that you can use to test run. Just do something. So so I'm not saying you should be consuming Apple's APIs, but still yet it's something that you can build and integrate in your system. Because during interviews, the global guys currently, they don't want to know that, oh, you write okay JavaScript, you write okay Python, you write, oh, you write this. Do you know AI? Do you know LLM? Do you know DevOps? Do you know this and that? You get, but you as a regular engineer, man, you must have fucked up already. So, that's just another thing for engineers. Same goes to designers and all other parts. So you have to use a lot of tools. There are just a lot of tools online that you can use to automate your process, to automate your work. So that by the time you start seeking for jobs, not just on the local level, on the international level, you can simply get jobs easily and faster. So, it's just all about you following the trend, you doing what's needed, you doing what's important, you doing what the world needs. Everyone is going to AI. So don't limit yourself into writing basic apps. Build things the world needs. Build solutions. Not just you building apps. Build solutions that solve the problem. So by doing so, money will surely come because once you build a problem and then gains its own market fit, of course, funding will come. It's just in the mountain. So, but still yet, try to upgrade yourself, work on things that the world needs. Go into AI, go into DevOps, go into cloud, go into Web3, upgrade yourself and be consistent doing it. So, that's just my little tip on it. So thank you very much, everyone. I don't know if you have questions, or probably we ask questions probably at the end. I don't know how it's been organized,
All right. Thank you so much,
but
Mr.
I'm open
Kingsley.
to your questions. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think you have done so well, so much well in this particular one. One of the things I pick from what you have said is the fact that developers or engineer will not be replaced, but those one that refuse, to leverage on AI will be the one to be replaced. In fact, I hold that one very, 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 very tight. So I think a lot of us here will have gained one or two too. All right. So before we begin to ask our question, I would like Mr. Uh, Olamide Olateju Olamide to have the mic. Mr. Olateju, you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself. I think you will do a better job to introduce yourself to us so that we get to know you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. As I said, I am Olamide Olateju Emmanuel, a computer science student and the back-end enthusiast. I have experience working with Python and PHP. I'm also passionate about building innovative solutions and exploring new technologies in my free time. Currently, we'll be talking about upskilling our tech career. And just like Mr. Kingsley had delivered to us the last few minutes ago, I would like to continue with where he left off. He talked about using machine learning technologies and maybe artificial intelligence tools for upskilling. Some of the other tools and frameworks I would like to talk about. One of it, it's on cloud computing. Cloud computing in itself is actually one of the many tech trends in 2025 we should watch out for. Yes, there are people who build products, maybe as back-end developers, as mobile developers, as front-end developers, and even other kinds of engineers. But most often nowadays we are seeing cloud computing tools take over. Many of these companies that build LLMs such as we have GPT. GPT is one that most of us are very, very familiar with. Many of these companies actually make use of cloud computing frameworks and technologies. Some of these cloud computing frameworks and technologies, they include AWS, Azure, GCP, which is Google Cloud Platform. Now, one thing many of these guys do most of the time is when they want to hire engineers, one of the things I've actually noticed now is they prefer hiring engineers that don't just know how to code, but engineers that also know how to leverage cloud computing tools. And many of these cloud computing tools, many often of the times, you would always be required to have a certification in it. So one of the key things to note is number one, cloud computing, and number two, certifications. Certifications in the sense that we are engineers, yes, we like to build products and so many other things, yes. But then many often at the time we don't like to take the extra mile. Well, not everyone actually always thinks in that direction. Many of the times we just sit and we have a plethora of projects in our portfolio and all that stuff. But then most companies, okay, let me give you this example now. The Java programming language. When you want to work with a professional company, they will tell you, okay, fine, maybe they are looking for an engineer that has 7 years experience. And with that on the table, they will tell you, fine, you should have a certification from Oracle. And most often, many people don't always get the job because the companies will deem you ineligible because why? You don't have the certification. And some of the time, if you have a network, maybe you could actually get the job and you get, but many of the times they have strict regulations guiding their hiring process. So those things are there. Another thing to watch out for is what I call serverless computing. Serverless computing is actually one technology that's actually out there today that we should pay attention to. Serverless computing in itself is not just there for people to just take. You have to be able to know how to use the tools and understand the underlying framework around it. You sit down basically and you are automating servers. You are basically taking things, you are scaling them up. Okay, look at this example. I think it was 2023 or 2022 they released GPT. When GPT came out, then the many of the companies like Google, Microsoft, they took it upon themselves to build their own AI agents. While this was happening behind the scenes, many people did not know that, okay, fine, these things actually run on cloud computing extensions. because many of these companies, they won't basically just come out and tell you, okay, fine, this was what we used to build this tool you are seeing here. ChatGPT runs on a serverless computing model. Serverless computing is actually a subset of cloud computing, where the cloud provider, that is the company that is actually helping you provide your resources, where they dynamically help you manage the allocation, the scaling of those resources. So as a developer, while you are focused on writing code and deploying your code, you don't necessarily have to focus or worry about managing servers or infrastructure. Why? Because the serverless computing model can actually help you do that. The serverless computing model is very, very good, and some of the benefits include stability, and there is always this improved faster time to market products and deploy them. Another thing we should watch out for is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity in itself is, well, generic cybersecurity for people, developers. There is always this, should I say, bias? Well, not totally bias. There's like a stereotype when they are doing their things, and when you see a cybersecurity specialist or enthusiast, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" and they tell you they're into cybersecurity, and they're like, "Okay, very good." Cybersecurity is one tech trend you should watch out for. Why? As a developer, you are seeing the age in which we are entering, the age of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence in itself is booming almost every day. And why it is booming, there's a constant need for specialists who can secure this system. It was a few months back I saw something online. There's a niche coming out of cybersecurity now. It's DevSecOps. Mr. Kingsley at the time while he was delivering mentioned DevOps. DevOps itself it's generic on its own. Now, DevSecOps is a combination of DevOps and security. Security is one aspect of the tech industry that we watch out for. Cybersecurity is one thing we should actually look out for. And there are so many jobs in cybersecurity. You don't necessarily have to even be a developer to learn. You might be a tech enthusiast and you just decide to pursue that code and leverage, and you just leverage. Even right now, many of these companies are giving out free courses in cybersecurity, data analytics, generative AI, and that is one thing we have to actually learn how to do. Upskilling in itself it's a good term actually, but then we have to put in the work ourselves. We have to actually be able to look out the window. We don't just want to think in the box. You have to be able to think outside the box and even beyond the box. Because many of the times you are a developer, you are a software engineer, you have over 10 years experience or maybe 7 years, and you are comfortable. Yes, you will be comfortable for a particular period of time, but the world is also changing. A friend of mine said that the illiterate of the 21st century would not be he that cannot read or write, but he that cannot learn. So you have to be able to basically sit down and take up skills you are not comfortable with. Yes, it won't be comfortable at first. If you have to software engineering journey, he would probably tell you it was very, very hard. Yes, it would be hard because many of these tools you would have to learn. You would have to have sleepless nights. Some of us here when we leave this meeting now, would attend to projects. When we are done with the project, make calls. When you're done with the calls, you would still have to take courses. That is what the life of a tech worker is. It's not all beds. It's not always full of beds of roses. There will be days where you would basically lose control of your mind. We basically have to be able to do ourselves and encourage ourselves that okay, fine, this was what you wanted to do. Yes, and you have to be able to put in the work. Another tech trend that is actually now is the use of what is this generative AI. Many of the times we would see content creators, YouTubers, and many of them like that. We would see them using tools like GPT, Writer to create content. We are developers, yes, but let's be honest with ourselves. We have to make money. Our families are looking on to us. I'm a student actually, so I'm in school, and many of the times you don't want to call home. You have to be able to have let me say, basically a side hustle. And the world is constantly changing. The world is constantly changing. You can have a blog or something where you maybe share your knowledge, share tips. And another thing I would like to emphasize is networking. Networking. I was working as a tech community last year with ATC Africa. I don't know if you've had the community before. And one thing that actually helped me to learn how to be able to build my skills in being a very, very good community manager was talking to people. I'm a very, very shy person, and talking to people is not something I have in my arsenal. So I had to learn how to talk to people. And many of the times, these people actually have people who can help us most of the time. Imagine you met the CEO of Paystack this evening, and you were someone, maybe you were speaking at an event, and the guy happened to, and maybe after the meeting, he just suddenly came to meet you, you guys spoke together, and over time, you guys built a relationship. I can assure you that over some few months, there will be a kind of there will be a new wave that comes on you. You basically would not think like you used to think before. Networking actually helps to it opens your mind, it helps you think differently, and you basically have access to people who can actually help you. Some of these guys, you just talk to them, like, okay, fine, that guy, I think I'll recommend him for this role. You basically have to be able to network with people. It doesn't necessarily, they don't necessarily have to be your friends. Maybe you attend a meetup, and it could even just be in this meeting. You just see someone and you're like, okay, fine, let me just reach out to this guy, and you just click there. So we have to be able to network with people. Optimizing our LinkedIn accounts. There are tools. ChatGPT is actually a very, very good tool for optimizing your LinkedIn account. You might not necessarily be an expert in your field. You might not necessarily be an expert in your field, but do take out the time to learn. Do take out the time to meet people who can help you to actually gain the knowledge you seek. People who can help you actually learn, people who can actually sit you down. They might not necessarily be there for you physically, but then just network with them, even if it's virtual, you would actually learn quite a lot. Some of these guys have made mistakes that it's when you are close to them, they will tell you. If you are not close to them, they won't tell you, okay, fine. When I started, this was what I did, this was not what I did, this was how I did it. The world is always evolving, and many of these guys, they make mistakes every day. Elon Musk, I think it was some few years ago, while he was working on SpaceX, he was actually trying to build SpaceX. He just quit PayPal at the time, and this guy needed money. He needed money to start his new company, which was SpaceX. And it was the money from his previous business that he actually spent on investing in the company. And over time, he started reaching out to other people. If you are not valuable to the people around you, they can't necessarily say, okay, Alpha, bro, come, we want you to do this for us. No, you have to be able to offer value. Offering value is not just you having maybe 7 years experience. You have to be able to demonstrate hands-on that this is what I can do. I appreciate Mr. Kingsley actually for mentioning that. You have to be able to demonstrate to your employers that you are not going to be a liability to them. You have to show them that I'm going to be an asset. And becoming an asset is not just telling them I'm going to be an asset. You are not going to just state it in letter sending to them. You have to be able to demonstrate it in your portfolio, plethora of projects. Machine learning projects today now, many companies today, maybe you are a back-end developer here, and many companies now, one thing to look out for in back-end developers is one of the skills they look out for in them is being able to build or leverage machine learning models. Maybe you are a data analyst and you have a friend who's a back-end developer. The guy should be able to, you build a model, you should be able to leverage that model in an application, whether through writing an API or maybe designing an environment and helping you deploy that application. We have to be able to think. These guys are there and the world is ever changing. I was reading something last night around 2 a.m. The world is constantly evolving, and the CEO of OpenAI, that was Sam Altman. He said he thinks this year ChatGPT would actually become the real coder of the century. They want to kick out developers. And now imagine you just started tech maybe 2 years ago. You are still focused on maybe HTML, CSS script. There are so many tools out there that you can actually learn. Java, has a framework for backend development. PHP has a framework for backend development. Python, so many languages are there that we can actually pick up. Cloud computing is there. Machine learning, you can leverage any skill at all. Just like IT community is there right now, I'm actually privileged to be one of the members of the community. So many information, so much information out there that people actually don't have access to. Some of the times there are things people don't know, and some of the times there are things we would not necessarily have to know. You have to be able to sit yourself down and tell yourself, okay, this is the goal I have. So one thing I'll just like to put to us is, I don't know this, maybe just sit down. What do you want from tech? Yeah. To be able to take a pen and write it. If you can answer the question, I'll find this is what I want from tech this year. I think it would necessarily stay you on the path, and you start to see the things that you need and you start to see the things that you do not need. I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to know the word to use now. I've been able to share little information with us, and I hope we can actually make use of it. Thank you all very much. Mr. Barry, thank you very much for the privilege. Mr. Kingsley, thank you for all you have said. I appreciate everyone here for coming. That's all I have for us.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Olateju. Ah, wow, that's so much. You have said a lot. In fact, the last point in the last point that you make mention of, which is what do you really want from tech? Like, in fact, that one you have mentioned a lot of points, right? You've talked about the things to focus on in the sense of cyber security, generating AI, and the rest of them, and also the need to network and the rest of all those things. You make mention of soft skill that we need as developer. You make mention of technical skills that we need to focus on. But the one that that touches my heart the most is the last part that you make mention of. We need to know what we really want from tech. If we are actually for some of us that just joined the HTC tech community, there's information I put there. In fact, it's on my LinkedIn that most of the time the reason why we fashion into tech is because we want to be finite. Like the money is the thing that actually ginger a lot of us, not the passion. The passion is there, one, but the things that ginger us to actually go into it was because of what we heard, that okay, if you do this, you can actually get this, you can be getting this, right? So now it's the way tech is actually going. You need to begin to questions. Okay, can I really do this? What exactly do I want? Okay, what if money is not even the problem now? Will I still do tech? If money is not the problem, imagine I can make millions of naira from another field. Will I still do tech? All these questions are very, very important. So I know a lot of our audience here, we have questions to ask, ask the speakers before. So before I actually ask my own question, I want to give room. If you have any question, please just raise your hands. Or if you have just one contribution to make, you can just raise your hand. We give you some seconds to address that or view your opinion. So is there anyone here that have questions? Hello, am I audible? All right. Mr. Harry Potter, please go on.
Okay, how you guys? Thank you. I hope so you can hear me.
Clearly, right on.
Awesome. Okay. I'm listening from Kenya. And I'm delighted to be part of this small community. I actually have learned a lot from you guys. But now I have this concern. With the increase, or maybe with the use of AI as technology advances each and every day. So I think Kingsley talked about saturation of the field. So assuming someone is not someone is yet to be absorbed into the technology companies or maybe from the startup, but now wants to enter into the area. So, and putting in mind that now we have, there is a lot of saturation. So, and we, of course, we have limited time to learn everything in technology. Technology is too wide, just like other areas. So, how can you now help such kind of person? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kingsley, do you get the question? Do you want to address that?
Okay. Okay. Mr. Henry, if I get you well, you said you are asking how an individual can learn a lot as regards this skill set, because there is a lot of skills in the tech world, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So let me help you break that down. Of course, you are right, because as an individual, you cannot learn everything. It's not possible, because you should always be in one side. You should always have your own craft. If you are to go for front end, do front end. If you have to go for back end, do back end. If you have to do full stack, if you have to be an AI engineer, be an AI engineer. If you have to do cloud, do cloud. But still yet, there are still some procedures that you can take that would help you learn different things almost at the same time. Not really the same time, but almost at the same time. So now let's say you are a backend engineer. A backend engineer would majorly know things about APIs, integrations, and then also data structures and algorithms. Now, if an engineer can know that, it is easy for the engineer into. Now, what's in DevOps? DevOps is all about, you know, you you looking into scaling your applications, in the sense that you would make use of things like Ansible, you make use of things like Splunk, you make use of things like Terraform, you make use of things like Chef as well. Now, these things looks many, but there are different tools for different things, and there are ones that you need and there are ones that you don't need. So getting the skill as a backend engineer would pave you a way to learn other things easily, because you learn other things like all these Docker, KTS, all this Ansible, and then you create your configuration files. It's because you've understood the fundamentals of development before you go into them. So it is quite easy to dive into them and make use of them for your own purpose. So it's all about learning based on your track. So if you are a mobile engineer, per se, you can just learn mobile apps and then start diving different mobile frameworks, things like using Flutter. You already understood that you can into JavaScript, dive into React Native, but at the same time, you can start learning things with Kotlin. So, but although you can't learn it at the same time, but it's just stages. But when you know one, it gives you a fundamental knowledge on how to go about with the other ones. So it's just all about track. So I don't know if I answered your question, Mr. Ari.
Yeah, sure. I can say we've under it. Most of the section we've under it. However, I can say in the under, because remember that this is a person maybe who's entering this field for the first time, and maybe he or she is struggling financially, and now the person maybe is trying to leverage about the balance between learning and at the same time also earning. So you find out that there's also a challenge. There's some challenges in this scenario.
Yeah, it is true that as a beginner, you will always have have a challenge in learning and earning at the same time, but it's always best that when you are learning, have money. Because if you don't have money, you may struggle, because there are actually times that will make you almost give up. There is frustration in learning, honestly. There is frustration, like not a little, there's frustration. So you have something different that brings you money. So by the time you learn and you've built that competency and it, then you can now say, oh, let me start applying for job. So it is dangerous. You not having money and learn how to code at the same time. You will struggle. At the end of the day, you might just feel, oh, maybe I'm not even good for it. So you really have to have some money while learning, so that your learning journey can be seamless and at least stress free.
Oh, that's awesome.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Potter, for that question, and Mr. Kingsley. I think you've done justice to that. I really appreciate what you are saying. In fact, if you want to coding, like, okay, let me put it this way. The people we look up to, people like Zuckerberg, people like Mugs, the rest of those guys. One of the things we need to learn about these guys is the fact that initially they were not doing this thing for money. Like, it was actually their passion that was driving them. If we begin to look at a lot of them, I believe me, they came from a well, a good background, in the sense that money was not a problem from that young age. In fact, their head is cool and everything is just working fine, right? But or let me just say some of us, or let me just say most of us, most of the time, the reason why we venture into this thing is because an uncle or somebody, or we listen in one podcast and say, okay, tech is not the big thing, right? That you can quickly do this thing and then begin, you can, like, we know those stories, right? So now, just like what Mr. Kingsley is saying, if you want to learn tech, like if you want to really learn tech, one, you have the passion, you need to have a support system, right? And another thing, just to support what he's saying, you a mistake that a lot of people make is the fact that they want to learn everything at the same time, right? You want to be a back-end engineer, want to be a front-end. If you are just doing all of them together, you have another free class that you are taking, data analysis or data science. You are doing that too. You have another one. You are learning Python somewhere, like machine learning. You are combining. It will be so much stressful. But just pick one particular thing, be so good at it, and then you can now begin to move on to another thing. In fact, a lot of these things are interwoven, like they are intertwined. They are together. You can leverage on one thing that you have learned. In fact, if you're a front-end developer, the fact that you're a front-end developer, moving it to back-end will not be so much difficult for you. And if you have into one particular thing before, moving to another one will not be so much difficult. So I think that is one of the things that we need to know too. So I can just take our time is well spent. So the meeting we stop at any moment, because I've been given a notice that we have just 15 minutes. So do we have anybody that have any question? Just one person, just to address that before we a question, or probably you just want to say something before we. Is there anybody, if you have question or you want to say something? All right, I don't think. Okay, none of us. Okay, Mr. Alpha, you want to say something? Alpha,
Yes, yes, yes.
you want to say something?
I don't have anything to ask, but
All
I
right.
just want to say I'm from Rwanda and my English is not that good as yours.
It's actually good,
So
Mr.
I
Alpha.
don't
Your
have,
English is good. It's nice having you here. Thanks so much for joining. Are you in the group?
no, no, no. I just don't have that confidence like yours.
It's
Yeah, this is not our mother tongue language. We were learning fast at first French. but now you're learning English. So I'm keeping on improving day after day.
In fact, you are speaking so
But
well. You are speaking so well. Yeah, it's good. You are speaking so well. Please keep it up. Keep it up. So, Mr.
Okay.
Game, thanks so much for joining. Alpha, are you in HTC group?
I just want to ask one question before we close.
All right, please do ask your question.
Is there any difference between software development and software engineering? I'm just seeing this term. There's just like no any difference, but the other people say there's difference, so I'm getting stuck here.
All right.
And also, if someone, another question, please.
Okay.
If can a person talk about freelancing? Anyone who have ever tried freelancing? I've just tried on Upwork, sending proposal, but no, I've never get any gigs. So I don't know what's wrong. Maybe I don't know my proposals, or it's just
All right.
someone to talk about the platform, freelancing platforms.
Okay. Thanks so much for that question. Do we have Mr. Kingsley and Olateju? Do you want to answer that question? The first question is there a difference between software developer and software engineer? And the next one is freelancing site that you can actually apply to, right? So, do you want to answer any, Mr. Olateju and all right, Mr. Olateju, please go ahead.
Um, all right, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Alpha, if I get your
Yes,
question correctly, is it the difference between software developer and software engineer, or software development and software engineering?
yes.
Okay. Software development, let me just quickly break that down. Software development and software engineering are actually two terms that they're often used interchangeably, but let me just mention two key distinctions. Two key distinctions there. The first one is on the focus and the approach. Software development focus is primarily on the practical aspects of building software, whether it's an application, a website, and maybe a game. And the process is actually straightforward. It can include maybe writing code, testing, and debugging. The approach can be more iterative in the sense that they can be going back to certain phases, and it is less formal. The approach is just to do things quickly. That is what software development is. And people who engage in the two, you can actually call them a software developer, a software engineer. But now the focus of software engineering is it is more systematic. It is you using engineering principles now to create software. That's what software engineering is. It is you using engineering principles that are systematic, quantifiable, disciplined, and reliable to actually create software. And okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I've
Okay. The approach of software engineering is it's structured and it is methodical, and it often uses what's the word I can use? It often uses formal methodologies and tools. Formal methodologies and tools that are actually, they are thoroughly tested, maybe academically and software in the software engineering industry wise. So, software engineering and software development, the focus is on what? The focus is on building applications. Actually, that is what software development is on. The approach now is actually iterative and less formal. Why software engineering now? The process is on using engineering principles to develop software. The approach is what? Structured and methodical, and often, most of the time, it often uses formal methodologies and tools. While Mr. Kingsley was speaking, you had him mentioning things like data structures and algorithm. A software engineer basically has to know how to use so many underlying software development principles. All right, but a software developer might not necessarily use the underlying principles in software engineering. Both of the terms are used interchangeably, but they have two different scopes, they have two different focuses, and they have two different approaches. In basic layman language, software developers are actually like the people who actually build a house according to maybe the architecture of the house or the blueprint, why the software engineers are like the architects who actually develop the blueprint and they oversee the entire construction process. Okay, imagine building a house now. A software engineer can be maybe a carpenter or an electrician who builds the house according to the architect's plan. But the software engineer would be the architect who actually designed the house, ensuring it is maybe structurally sound, meeting building codes, and maybe it also has to meet the client's taste. Now, the terms software developer and software engineer today are used interchangeably. And just like I told you that the other time, a software developer focuses mainly on the aspects of building applications practically. It can include writing code, testing, and debugging. It is very, very straightforward. And some of the time, they can focus on using software development lifecycle models, such as coding or testing, and the other parts include deployment. But a software engineer now uses engineering principles. So that's the difference between software. Can you
Looks
hear
like
me?
we have limited time.
Okay.
All
I
right.
just want to thank you for your explanation.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much. Because of our time, I think our time is well spent. So I want to appreciate all of us, for joining this meeting. There will be so much of this meeting coming up, in the future. In fact, if you have any idea or if you feel there's something we need to do in the group, I believe all of us are in that group. You can please, reach out to any of the admin, reach out to me or anybody, or put it in the group what your thought is or what you think we can actually do better. I will appreciate that. So for those of us joining here, I have Mr. Indubisi Matthew. Thank you for joining. Gamin, thank you for joining, and some other people. I really appreciate us for joining. Mr. Ari, thank you. Mr. Alpha, thank you. I regarding freelancing, I think that last year we did something on that, and I'm also planning something on that too. So please just stay ahead, just stay with us in the group. Probably next week or next month, coming month, we are still going to do something on freelancing. So, and if you think your proposal need to be checked on or worked on, if there's something we need to do, you can actually reach out to us too, so that we have professional among us that can do justice to that. So with this, I want to say, Mr. Kingsley, can you just give us your closing remark so that we just give us your closing remark just in few seconds.
Okay, so thank you guys. So the closing remark would be like let's all try to develop our skills rapidly and stay consistent in our games
All
for
right,
every part that we are, be it front end, AI, we should just be consistent and keep bullying and then start integrating AIs to our systems as well.
all right.
So
Thank you so much.
thank you very much.
The meeting will end anytime. So, Mr. Olateju, I thank you too. You have you've answered some of those questions and you have shared your thoughts with us. I really appreciate. So, for the audience, I'm so glad that we joined, and also Mr. Kingsley and Mr. Olateju, thank you for honoring us our invitation. Thank you. So, I want all of us to have a good night. So, good night from here. So, see you in the next one. See you in the group. So, bye.